Thank you for staying with us, dear viewers. With us now in the studio is Dr. Moataz Abu Zeid, and he is an economic and a commercial and legal affairs expert. Very good evening to you, Dr. Abu Zeid. Thank you for joining us. So the presidential initiatives that cover so many areas, social areas, economic areas, vital sectors like the health and education sectors. Talk to us about the importance of these initiatives, especially today in the difficult conditions the entire world is going through economically specifically.
Firstly, good evening and thank you for having me to join this episode today. Of course, this topic is a very interesting and very important to mention the importance and the progress of the presidential initiatives in all sectors that you mentioned. And that must be firstly mentioned to the basis that these presidential initiatives was built on. Firstly, the new constitutional area or the new constitutional pillars that can support these initiatives, like articles in constitution or the Egyptian constitution issued in 2014 about the economic support, the social support, of course, the rights of the upcoming generations. All of this encourages the new country or the new republic to put these initiatives as one of the main roads or main roadmaps for sustainable development. The second reason or the second important pillar to be mentioned, that the commitment of Egypt, as all the countries all over the world, for the strategy or the plan of sustainable development, which we are connected in it with the United Nations. And of course, according to the Sustainable Development Goals, which was declared in 2015, of course, Egypt was one of the countries that maintained its strategy to put these plans in economic, culture, social, and of course, civil rights. On the other hand, we have now a very interactive and very emotive governmental strategies, of course, under the awareness or the intention of the presidential plans or the presidential initiatives, which reflects the awareness of His Excellency Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and of course, according to the new interference or the new we may say participation for all the parties here in the Egyptian society, private sector, civil society, and of course the governmental sector, to cooperate to make a progress in these initiatives. Of course, all these bases made these initiatives nowadays very important and encouraged for the innovation of new initiatives, of course, for the upcoming periods.
Right, Dr. Abu Zeid. So how do you like the progress in the initiatives? Definitely very noble goals. Definitely there a lot of Egyptians are feeling the impact of those initiatives, but how far is the reach of these initiatives, and how would you like to see the progress going even further to to engulf all needy areas, because there are a lot of needy areas. Of course, there's the most needy, yes, and then there's the needy and the less needy, and so on.
Of course, as you said, after the political and constitutional changes happened here in Egypt, 2011 and 2013, there were many large or many obstacles or many problems here in the Egyptian society. Firstly, according to the terrorism attacks that reached Egypt at those days, and of course, after that, the very hard economic positions that Egypt passed through. After that, the
coronavirus
problem of COVID-19, of course.
The Russia-Ukraine war.
Yes, of course. It's a consequence of many problems or many hard positions that any country all over the world may pass through. But according to the agenda that was put since 2016 and the strategy of the economic development or economic rebuilding here in Egypt, of course, there was a very stable and constant steps for the presidential initiatives, starting from a day for the Egyptian children, a day for the Egyptian, a year for the Egyptian children, a year for the Egyptian women, a year for disabled. Of course, the development cannot mean only to combat terrorism or to make an economic development for the whole country, but as you said, it must have a terminal end to reach the people. All the categories, needy people and the more needy people, and of course the people in countrysides, urban regions, and all these categories of the Egyptian must feel the impact or the reflection of this economic development. Of course, when we are talking about initiatives or presidential initiatives reaching people for their standards of life, education, infrastructure that can reach their workplaces and their homes, and the rebuilding and supporting these houses, and of course the furnishing health, educational policy or educational system. Of course, this can give a new position or a new image for these initiatives in the eyes of people, and can be appreciated and can be served or can be preserved for the upcoming generations.
Right. The youth definitely have a big part in these initiatives. I want you to evaluate, Dr. Abu Zeid, the role of the youth in these initiatives, be it the volunteers or the participants in these initiatives, and how do the youth also benefit from these initiatives? Because we see also a lot of beautiful initiatives that focus on enhancing the skills of the youth and human development in general. Yes. So the youth here, their role and in the initiatives, and how can they best benefit from the initiatives?
I think since the beginning of the new republic after the new constitution in 2014, the youth played a very important role in this plan or strategy of development. Of course, they played a great role in the political changes, as I said, in 2011 and 2013. And of course, the presidential plan to obtain or to include these efforts and these energies of youth was very or highly appreciated by the youth themselves. Firstly, by giving them the way to participate in a very successful consequences of conferences which exceeded the borders of the Egyptian youth, and of course African and Arabian and also international youth can participate in these successful conferences. And after this may we say training interval of time, the Egyptian youth was now were now ready to participate in the presidential initiatives as Haya Karima. Of course, when we say the opening ceremony or when we saw the opening ceremony of this initiative, a very huge number of youth participate in this ceremony, and of course they had an intention to participate also in the activities of this initiative. On the other side, we can say that the last or the newest and the recent stage or step of Haya Karima or Decent Life initiative was declared from a very short period as the first 1,000 golden days in the Egyptian child or the Egyptian, yes, of course. And according to this 1,000 days development, it mainly concentrated upon the first 1,000 days in every Egyptian individual life. Of course, to give after that a very effective and successful youth, and of course, a man or a woman can be depended on for the development of this country.
Right. Dr. Abu Zeid, definitely the success of such, again, noble initiatives depends on the cooperation of all parties. As you mentioned earlier, government, private sector, civil society, and even the common citizens.
Yes.
So the importance of the coordination, cooperation, and also the financing of such initiatives.
Yes. Of course, this can be considered as a new way of thinking all over the world. We recently declared or discovered that no one can make a success by himself. Of course, we must cooperate. Even globally, according to the relations between countries and international organizations, and of course internally in every country. After many experiences that the Egyptian society passed through during maybe referendums, elections, and of course the huge participation of the Egyptian people in these political movements, this proof that the role must be played by all the parties, as you mentioned. Of course, civil society must have a greater space, can participate in these initiatives. Of course, their main field to work in is social, culture, and economic rights. So according to this, these initiatives may encourage them to make a great participation and to make people feel by their main role here in the society. Of course, the private sector had a great role in a coordination or cooperation with the government, and of course this was declared many times according to the declarations of Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, not only for the participation but also a patriot role according to the participation in rebuilding this republic, that you are an Egyptian patriot or Egyptian individual, that you must participate, and even if you are figuring as a very huge capital or a very huge project or investment, so you must participate in these initiatives. And of course, on the other side, as we said, very qualified youth to participate in these initiatives, and of course the government activities, which we noticed especially in the recent 2 or 3 years that they are exceeding the efforts of the civil society, and they put themselves in a very superior position according to these presidential initiatives.
Finally, the ordinary citizen, the regular citizen, the common citizen.
Yes.
What's asked of him or her, if he or she are not affiliated to a civil society, say, organization or an NGO or so on, what can we do as ordinary citizens to help make these initiatives a big success?
As I believe always that people must be aware. It's a very hard position that we are passing through now. And of course, under the leadership of Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we passed many hard positions, of course. And this must be clear for everyone and must be mentioned by everyone. And of course, on the other side, as a common individual or a common people here in Egypt, I must be aware also by my rights and freedoms. I must be aware by my participation's opportunity for these initiatives. How can I get benefits, and how can I participate in these initiatives? And of course, also I must be aware by these initiatives. What are the activities? What are the benefits? And why we can do these initiatives? Is it means by other side the ordinary work or the ordinary jobs of the various ministers here in Egypt? So what is the useful side of these initiatives? And also how can I participate? Because these initiatives, as I said before, it is the terminal that may reach the people. How can I get benefit from the development success or the economic development? How can I feel that my country made efforts internationally and internally to make a progress or to upgrade the standard of living of Egyptian people? Of course, all these sides of awareness must be existed in our minds and all the minds of the Egyptians. The second point, or the second way to make them feel and participate the importance of these initiatives, that opening more roads for them to participate. Maybe by education methods, maybe by public opinion according to media and social media. And of course, these sites can be easily treated by the people and can reach everyone even by his phone device. So of course, awareness, and according to the great road or the great gates of participation, this will encourage common people to, without affiliating to any political parties or any movements, to participate in these initiatives and also to feel the importance of these initiatives.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr. Moataz Abu Zeid. It's been a great pleasure having you here.
Of course, the pleasure is mine.
Dr. Abu Zeid is an economic and commercial and legal affairs expert. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching Windows. Next week, God willing, Dina Hussein will be here back to her seat. I'm Hamad Al-Rahim, and I thank you for watching.